Stand by alert. Death Star approaching. Estimated time to range.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Welcome, listeners, to episode 285. That was what we decided on. 285 of the Skyhoppers podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ben, and I am joined by my lovely co-hosts, Cole and Dakota.
Yo.
It's me. Hi. I'm the problem.
That came out. Allison is rightfully obsessed with it and has been listening to it on repeat. And to the point,
Allison.
and now it's the point where I'm like, I don't know. I've gotten kind of sucked up into the Taylor Swift. Like, I'm really starting to recognize her genius.
Yeah,
like
good, as you should.
It's a really good album. And we went to the Irvington Halloween Festival yesterday, which was a lot of fun. I wish I had my stickers.
She did too.
I got a little. Dakota, do you know about the United States Print Co? They print a lot of like Indiana. It's like basically that's their whole thing is like Indiana like stickers and shirts, and it's fun. It's cool. I got one. It's the shape of Indiana, but it's Din Djarin. It's the Mandalorian, and there's a little thing sticking off. It says this is the way. Then I got another one that's Indiana shaped like a guitar pedal. Or it's a guitar pedal shaped like Indiana.
His gatekeeping shirts.
Is that really gatekeeping? I don't know if that one counts as gatekeeping. But anyway, that was a lot of fun.
You would think that.
We listened to 1989 on the way back, and I was just reminded of what a good album that is.
We'll talk about Midnights and The Loneliest Time more in After Hours, so stick around.
Yes, we're in the proper show now.
Yeah, this is very, very weird. Eva will be joining us ideally in a short time. Everything is topsy-turvy, listeners. We are recording it on a Sunday morning. Again, it is about noon on Sunday. We are properly recording After Hours as a post-show after the episode so that we, who are all caught up on Andor like good Star Wars fans, can talk about this show and how just absolutely off the wall it is and how it seems to have turned up to 11 and doesn't show any signs of slowing down. So is there
hopefully a little bit of Tales of the Jedi?
Oh, that too.
Time.
Because I didn't watch that. Well, maybe. What should we cover first then?
I don't know.
Probably Andor, since it'll like Tales of the Jedi's not getting any more.
You're right. We could come back to it. So this one was. What was this one? This one was what's the name of the planet?
Narkina 5.
Narkina 5. That's it. Very sad to see.
Properly.
Yes, very sad to see. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that. Very sad to see that it was not Narkina V. It was Narkina 5. But, it is what it is.
It's the Empire. They're very into, like, numbers.
Numbers.
Numerals,
We could do the mental gymnastics to figure out why it makes sense if we wanted to, but I don't think we need to. This episode was a little rough to watch at times.
It was painful. It was like, just very effectively made you feel
shocking,
trapped,
if you will.
And I didn't even notice. I noticed, but I was like, that's weird. Why are their boots so weird? Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
I thought the same thing.
Oh.
Weird little slippers,
but they're not. I don't know. But that was.
The prisoners take their shoes off. This is
flippers of fascism.
Flippers for fascism. No, I was thoroughly engrossed by this episode. I could not look away. I also think that this episode had some of my... It's weird because I don't get a particularly, and this is okay, this is not a complaint, I don't get a particularly Star Warsy vibe from a lot of the music in this show. I think the music fits, and it's kind of expanding, you know, like all the shows are, expanding what Star Wars music is. But I have liked the music thus far. I think this episode had some of my favorite music.
Yeah. It's been extremely good music. Hard agree.
This is the second time that I got like big Blade Runner vibes from the music, and I'm like, I wonder if there's a connection there as to why I like this music. But what did you all think?
See the musical palette of Star Wars continue to expand.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Similar to whenever The Mandalorian came out, and we got all those wonderful themes. It's like, oh yeah, Star Wars music can be more than just John Williams' orchestral majesty.
Yeah, which is, I still take it some getting used to for me, honestly. Because at the end of the day, it's just music. It's good, but it's like there's nothing saying it needs to be orchestral John Williams. And I honestly don't think that would... Obviously, John Williams could write something, and any number of people could write something in that vein to fit with this show. But the show, with all of that kind of like the inspiration it's taken from retrofuturism and like brutalist architecture that's showing up all over Coruscant and stuff, it's like the Blade Runner-esque soundscapes at certain parts. It's like that's so fitting.
Feels very appropriate.
It's very appropriate, and the whole... Oh, I don't know. This whole episode just felt very dirty, which is funny considering how clean.
Even though it was so clean.
The factory prison was so clean, but it just felt bad. And then we saw Melshi, but it didn't linger on him. I was like, as soon as I saw it was him, I'm like, okay, how are they going to lean into this? They didn't. They lingered on him just about as much. Nope.
Most people probably would not even know. Because Melchi's not even like a major character.
He's not. He's not. But I saw him.
There. And if you recognize the name, you're like, huh, that's familiar. But the guy even like, he's got way more hair in this than he does in Rogue One. In Rogue One, he's extremely like close shaved, and he has more stubble and everything too. So it's like he doesn't even really like look very similar. So
no, and this is to me, this is another example of a pre-existing character showing up that it's like with good reason, because you just know it's like, well, this is how he and Cassian are going to get out of here at the same time, more than likely, and that is how, and they will end up. I don't know. I actually don't know how that would play out, because Cassian seems like he's still a little ways out of joining the rebellion. Maybe.
Yes, I have to imagine that Melshi must like maybe already have rebel connections.
Sure.
And maybe whenever they break out, he's the one that's got like
he brings
the
them
lift
along.
scheduled, or or something, a place to go hang out, and then that's how they end up together or something. I don't know, but I wonder if we're going to see more of that Rogue One team. Those like miscellaneous dudes that joined them at the end. I wonder if we'll just start seeing more of them start popping up as the show goes on. It's like
that'd be cool.
Then when we watch Rogue One, we're like, oh, all of these guys are going to die, and it's going to be so sad.
No, that's a very, I think, tasteful way of including pre-existing characters.
Agreed.
And yeah, I somewhat what's that guy that died that turned Cassian in, that liked what's her name? Tim. Yeah. Kim. I thought he, like, when I first saw him, I was like, is that the guy that Cassian shoots at the beginning of Rogue One? They look similar, I think, maybe, or maybe I'm just making that up. But
I don't think it's not the same guy. I don't think.
No, I know it's not the same guy, obviously, because he dies. But it made me think of that, and like, ooh, that would be cool if we maybe in the next season see that guy some. It would just make that scene more sad.
Yeah, because that guy is one of Saw's men, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, it would totally make sense to have that guy show up as one of Saw's crew that they interact with.
Yeah. I think it would be really cool.
Yeah, and Mogo was asking about Melshi. He is named in Rogue One at least once or twice.
So I think maybe twice. It's
because
really...
I know for sure whenever they're about to set off all the charges, I think Melshi's like one of like the team leaders. It set off the explosions. He's like ready to light it up. They call out Melshi, I think, then, but his name definitely gets said at least like once or twice. So
yeah,
he's definitely identifiable, and he's also the one that gets killed right before, because he tries to go do the thing that Chirrut ends up doing with the Master Switch. he like tries to make a run for it, I believe, and gets shot down. So it's like, oh man, we already know this guy's fate.
I know, and it's
tragic.
It is very odd, but also I think maybe we could start to see, and this is a case of like, I don't necessarily need these stories, but the show is happening, odds are good we will get some of them, is like some sort of background for some of the bad things that some of these people that went to Scarif did for the rebellion. You know, I think it's only a matter of time, especially because Cassian does seem to have some semblance of a moral compass, and we see that in Rogue One, but we see it here too, where it's like he kills Skeen because he's like, no, this is not this is not good, this is not how we're gonna do this. But at the same time, he's still like, oh, I'm taking my cut and I'm getting out of here, I'm not involved any further, I saved you all, whatever. But I think that we're gonna have to watch Cassian do some, like watching Rex kill clones in Clone Wars Season 7, we're gonna have to watch Cassian do some rough stuff. I think that he's not gonna be happy
terrible
with.
things on the part of the rebellion.
Exactly.
So, you know. And then our other like the big surprise for me this week was surprise Andy Serkis.
I know, right? I saw him, it was like
that was
what?
one of those ones I was like, I can't believe this wasn't like marketed in any way or anything. He just walks up, like he starts talking, I'm like, that sounds like Andy Serkis. Then see his face, I'm like, that's Andy Serkis, man. What's he doing here?
He was really good too. He was he's a good actor, obviously. I don't mean to say like, of course, I don't mean to be surprised that he was good or sound surprised, but he was a good character in that. I don't know, because I didn't like him. Well, this show is full of those characters, right? Where it's like, I don't like you.
You're not supposed to like him, but it's like, you imagine he's probably been in this prison for years, and like he has worked his way up to being like, you know, a shift boss or whatever,
supervisor,
you want to call it. And he's like pretty close to getting out. So he's really just like, hey, I'm trying to make the best of the situation. He doesn't necessarily want anyone else to suffer.
No.
I mean, like you said, he's just trying to make everything run efficiently, and you know, he's encouraging the guys like, hey, y'all have a chance of winning the shift, you know. He's kind of a jerk about it, about how he does things.
That's what I mean. Who
wouldn't be at this point?
He's not cruel, but he's like obviously so jaded and is like, well, I need to make my own existence here as comfortable as possible, even though it seems like, at least as far as accommodations go, he's not getting anything better than what everybody else gets.
Yeah. I have to imagine that maybe there is some like minor benefit to, well, just because like even just like the way the shift, like the table that wins gets better food.
Yeah.
I wonder if his room that he runs gets some kind of benefit from being in the top slots. You know, I would imagine there's some incentive beyond just he gets to be in charge.
His little food tube probably has some flavor.
Yeah, exactly. He gets some kind of benefit with the food tube or something.
Yeah.
Some incentive that's just enough.
He also doesn't have to work on whatever those big gear things they're making. He just walks around and yells at people.
Yeah. He's a manager. He's doing the
So that's
doing the work. He's doing the different work. And
I worry about the old man.
Don't slow up my line.
They all have names. Everyone on this team has names.
I know. I was like, literally every person we meet gets a name.
Yep, they do a little introduction thing and everything. It's very nice.
It's like Tony Gilroy's been watching all the other shows and been like,
what's that frog lady's name?
That's what I mean. It's like this is all well and good. I love what's happening here. They have to have names. We cannot not have them have names anymore. But yeah, I'm concerned about the old man.
Yeah. Something I didn't notice it while watching the show, but somebody posted it. You can see at one point his cubicle, and he's only got 70 days left.
Oh no.
But I think that may end up being significant to the breakout.
Interesting.
Because one of the things, like, I think I posted this in the Discord too, on speculation, is like, seeing this prison function, I'm like, I don't know how they're gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
No.
Because the way that's designed, the guards have so minimal interaction with anyone.
Yeah.
And the only time we know that they interact is whenever they're bringing someone new in
or
they're taking bodies out. But you have to imagine that's also true whenever somebody's leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody leaving will create an opening of some
Yeah,
side.
and
some
that's
kind.
something that they know exactly when it's going to happen. With
Exactly.
people coming in, they don't know when that's going to happen exactly. They can't plan for that.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
I think
another
that may end up
reason
being
for them
significant.
to be really stressed out about the new laws and everyone's time getting doubled too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that had to have made Andy Serkis's character really, really annoyed.
Yeah.
He would have been way closer.
Is everybody on Narkina 5? Are they all
Eva just said they're ready to jump in.
So, but
Oof.
well, is everybody on Narkina 5? Are they all dissidents or charged with being dissidents? You know, like with part of the new. Did they all have their sentences doubled? Was there anything that implied that?
I think everyone just did. It doesn't matter what they did or.
Oh, I thought it was.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it didn't seem like it seemed more arbitrary than that.
Maybe
especially since like there's probably plenty of people in there like Cassian who technically didn't do at all or like didn't do anything that they're in there for.
Whenever they were getting sent off to different prisons from the planet he was on, they were dividing people up based on something. Like they were asking their name and their planet.
I thought it was
a bunch of different, and I know what you're thinking, Ben. We had a mention of Belsavis.
Belsavis.
Awesome.
Going all the way back to Children of the Jedi, which was
I know a lot of people were saying were claiming it was from SWTOR because apparently I think it's pretty prominent there.
It is. Maybe? It's on. There are a couple classes. I think does every class go to Belsavis? I don't know. It's a prominent planet in that game. But SWTOR takes it from Children of the Jedi, because Children of the Jedi, I think, is what establishes it originally as a prison colony.
Yeah. I got to actually some people on like Discord and Reddit and stuff be like, oh, SWTOR. I'm like, well, actually, give some respect to Children of the Jedi.
That book that everyone told you not to read. Now you look like an idiot because you didn't read it because you listened to them. No, I love that planet. You're not an idiot if you haven't read Children of the Jedi because someone told you not to. By the way, it is really not that great of a book.
It seemed like they were only separating people based on like their physicality. Because they said something about Cassian being fit for labor or something. So
but it felt like it was significant. And I think maybe they were, because there was a whole bunch of these prison like architecture things on the planet. There's like at least 7 of them, I think, that we see. So I wonder if they were dividing up even like different planets or maybe separating people, like trying not to get people that might know each other in the same system. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like it was significant that they were doing that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And also it also makes sense that this is a prison that only has humans in it because it's designed specifically like the way the punishment system and everything is like it's for humans. This is designed just to incapacitate humans in a specific way. Different aliens are sent to different things. Like Wookiees are obviously sent to Kessel.
I was gonna say I actually think it has something to do with the fact because I noticed that they're all human as well, and my first thought was like, well, this is not necessarily the most skilled labor, but this is and not to I don't know. I don't want to get into what is skilled labor debate, but you know what I mean. All labor is valuable. It's not that's important. But it does require clearly some amount of precision. Like they use these like the plasma torches or whatever, and like they're and I think the Empire is just like the like non-humans are also just below this. You know what I mean? Like they my first thought was specifically
it just
like
reinforces the
oppression and racism.
Human centric.
Yes.
Yeah.
But well, shoot. I don't want to sound like I'm bummed that Eva is joining us.
No, we're
but
happy.
Like I want to talk about Tales of the Jedi too. And only good things though. Real quick, let's get some real quick impressions of Tales of the Jedi.
Can we just generally
brief
say
impressions,
I'm not going to say anything negative about the last episode because as an episode in its own right, it was good.
Uh-huh.
The Ahsoka novel doesn't exist anymore, and that's okay. We're going to move on from that. Dakota, are you eyeing me or eyeing what happened?
I'm eyeing that I'd rather say that this episode doesn't exist than Ahsoka.
You're right. Fair enough.
Like, it's pretty. It's very pretty. But it is, like, the book is really good and it has a good pace, and this episode was really short, like a short little summary of the book, and I just it wasn't as good as the book.
Do we even get Caden's name? I think you're right.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think we get any names for the villagers, or even
Yeah.
I think it's like villager or like brother and sister, and then
Oh
the
my
Inquisitor's
God.
just credited as Inquisitor. It's not even specified which one it is.
Well-
which might be them like covering their bases as far as like, we didn't technically override anything.
And see, I saw that too. People talking about how it's like could be a different farm planet, different people. And I'm like, that's a cope, guys. like it is 100%. This is what Dave envisioned.
The episode is basically like a super Cliff Notes version of the book.
Yeah,
Which
and
is why I'm saying the book is better.
the book is. I think you're right. I think the book is better. However, the rest of the show, like all of it,
Yeah.
Ahsoka, Dooku, was all really good. I thought it was all really good. The Ahsoka stuff, like my brother brought it. I was talking to him
the
about
Ahsoka stuff I found completely like superfluous, honestly. I didn't even really watch the first one because I was like, I know what this is.
Well, the first one I did rewatch it, but I was like, I was working while I was watching it. I was kind of like, I don't have to pay as close attention to this one because we had the privilege of seeing it before at Celebration. But I was watching the animation, and I'm just like, the animation is gorgeous. Like it's very clearly a lovingly produced show.
Oh yeah, that's not in question. That's not in question.
Yeah, and I just think the Dooku
Still don't,
stuff.
love the art style of Clone Wars stuff, but that's just
yeah, that's his taste. It's like objectively, I think this is like
but the animation has by far improved so much.
Yes.
Even
Now
if they make some weird choices with said animation, like
but some
like
of
Obi-Wan's hair and Ahsoka's outfit and stuff. It's like, y'all are just doing this as you can, and it's really strange.
It's very weird. But I think
The
overall,
Dooku episodes were amazing.
Yeah, the Dooku episodes
I liked those. I liked
really
those a
good.
lot more.
Qui-Gon.
Barring any things they might
Qui-Gon.
retcon, kind of.
That episode hurt so bad. The scene of Dooku at the tree. Wow.
And like see, that's what I think. That was obviously, I think we can clear up. Dooku, for those who might be unaware, Dooku had left the Jedi Order by this point. That was left very ambiguous. It was not said. Correct, right? Dooku was no longer.
It's definitely like not said in the episode, but to me, like all of the context clues in the episode say he's still part of the Jedi. He's wearing the exact same outfit.
I know.
He's still referred to as Master. There's nothing to indicate he's not part of the Jedi. To me, if they had just changed his outfit to look more like his Count outfit, because he has like the Jedi robes underneath his cape that he always wears. If they just changed that, I'd be like, okay, there's like an indication that something has changed beyond.
I agree with you entirely. It is not.
But,
it is not clear. I'm basing myself, like, this is clearly just based entirely on external sources that say that he has left the Jedi Order by this point. And it was not a stretch to me that it's like, oh, he's a respected he was a respected master. He is still welcome in the temple. Like, that all still tracks. But there was a lot of confusion. People being like, wait, is he still a Jedi? And it's like, well, if we're basing it on everything, he's not. But if we're just looking at this episode, you really can't tell. But I think that the
reason is because Dave doesn't care.
I think that thankfully there is nothing that. Yes, Mogo, we know you're pissed that Dooku.
Yes.
The episodes do not talk about prophecies. You made that abundantly clear.
And you're right, though.
But I think that the scene of Dooku at the tree was the strongest moment in the entire series.
Yes.
Wow. On second watch, I thought baby Ahsoka with the big cat was a little much, because it was like, Cole, I think it was you who said, like, I don't need to be reminded that Ahsoka is the most special person to have ever lived. And I'm like, fair enough.
A literal baby.
But overall, I thought Dakota, I'm sure you liked the second Ahsoka episode with the training. I thought that was really good, actually. And my brother was like, he brought up the great point of her being like, well, that's like, that explains why doesn't explain, but it helps give some context for how she could have survived Order 66. Like, she is trained against these clones. She knows, she can feel
it's
superfluous. It's superfluous, but honestly, I think this entire series was superfluous. And I'm not trying to do that thing that people are like, oh, well, none of it really matters. We don't need any of it. Like, I'm not trying to be that. I have been that in the past, but I'm not trying to be that here. Like, I'm not trying to discount what you're saying, Cole. But I think that, like, the whole thing is kind of, I don't know, like, they were all so short and not that, even the Dooku ones weren't that meaty, like, there wasn't.
They're super simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're all very straightforward. There's no real, like, twists and turns in anything because there's not enough time for it. But I will say, it's like, this is the first time I feel like the Dooku character in animation has been given anything of, like, depth or weight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and to me, it makes me more frustrated with Clone Wars' portrayal of him, where he's just literally the most sneering villain you could imagine the entire time. No depth whatsoever. Then this is like, well, no, actually, he had a point the whole time. It's like, shut up, pick a lane, guys, come on.
Yeah. No, and I know it was really simplistic, and I think that, like, Dooku, especially when he is, I don't know though, because if you look at Jedi, I don't even want to bring Jedi Lost into the equation, because it's clear that Dave Filoni doesn't care, and if anyone was keeping these things in line outside of just sheer coincidence, it had to have been the story group or something, like, because I want to say like, oh well, I guess there is the darkness in Dooku and Jedi Lost, so it's not completely out of nowhere when he force chokes that senator. But also, like, I don't know. The fact that Qui-Gon watched that and, I'm shocked that Qui-Gon was still able to respect Dooku after that. That doesn't seem like something Qui-Gon would ever do. After he watches, like, his master almost kill the senator in anger. But Mogo, I'm not trying to say that Jedi Lost and Master and Apprentice don't matter. That's not what I'm saying. That's what I think Dave Filoni thinks.
That book is great.
Yeah, both of those are really good.
Dave Filoni.
I just
be better.
This is all I'm gonna say. It does really seem like it's just him that does not care about what anyone else is doing, but I think he's kind of really turning into George Lucas, where he needs somebody to rein him in a little. It's like, dude, you get it. Like, I think you get it. Like, I do respect you, but my God, please stop. But whatever. I know we spent way too long talking about that with Bad Batch. It is what it is. I wish somebody would stop this man. I don't know.
But it was so great.
It was. The whole thing was good. It was better. I don't want to sound like, my expectations were kind of hurt as soon as I found out what it was. I won't lie. I was hoping, it's like, Ula Keldroma was not involved at all.
Eva says, please, sir.
Okay. We should let them on then.
I'm going to give them the okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're done. We're done with the spoilers. But one day they'll catch up, and then we'll. Oh, I've got to change the names on the stream now. I had the names all set up, and now Eva's here.
I think that a fun transition is what, because it seems like we're gonna have more Tales of the Jedi, right? Based on the Disney description, it says something about. It made it sound like there would be more than Dooku and Ahsoka. I'll go pull it up.
I was going to do the same thing.
But
hello, Yara.
Regardless, my question, what other characters would you like to see get the Tales of the Jedi treatment?
Ula Keldroma and Naomi Sunrider.
Okay, well...
I don't know. Someone else go first. I'm still fixing these names on our stream.
Let's see.
Pulling up the details. Come back.
I mean, honestly, any of the prequel Jedi we get little snippets of throughout Clone Wars, obviously, but Plo Koon, Kit Fisto, Ki-Adi-Mundi. I mean, I think all of them
Ki-Adi-Mundi.
got details we could get.
I hated seeing him in that cloak.
Oh, the robe was very bad. With at least the hood was really.
Yeah.
That man's head was not meant to fit under a hood.
No, it was really bad. Okay, I can't find what I saw earlier anywhere.
I think I found what you were talking about. It
Okay.
says the description was tales built around Jedi from the prequel era will feature Ahsoka Tano, Count Dooku, and others.
And others. That is what.
Yeah, I think
and
not
that
just be
could-
referring to we have like Mace Windu in there, and
I feel like unless
I hope
no
you're
one
right,
watches
and I think
this,
you'll be right, honestly. But
yeah, I think unless no one watches this, they're gonna keep doing them.
It's clear that people have watched it.
Yeah.
Like,
the main thing that makes me think there might not be anymore is just because whenever they talk about the setup for the show, it's like literally Dave was like had these ideas that weren't quite episode length.
Yeah.
You're like, well, we could make these, we could find a spot for them, and so
Other
were already,
people
like,
probably have ideas too.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's not just Dave. Let someone besides Dave do it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't need more Ahsoka tales, unfortunately.
That see that would be
We're
Dakota's obviously disagrees with that. That would be my thing, is that if there is more Ahsoka, there had better be more Dooku as well. You know what I mean? It's like as long as everyone gets more, that's okay. I don't want there to be like every Tales of the Jedi season drop has 3 with Ahsoka in it, because then it's like, okay.
I just think that this concept would be really cool if they do more prequel Jedi, but also they could jump around time periods. They could do some High Republic episodes. They could do some sequel episodes. They could do some Luke episodes. They love the dark times, so maybe some Yoda episodes.
Oh wow!
Some of the Jedi we know survived.
Yeah.
Galen has entered the chat. Hello, Galen.
Hello,
time
Galen.
no see. Galen says that the biggest technical problem with it was how short the episodes felt, and they felt a little underdeveloped. Eva, stop it! We've been talking spoilers. Stop us if we start to veer into spoilers unexpectedly, because I could feel myself doing it.
I have seen episode 1 because I went to Celebration.
Yeah.
Right.
And this morning I watched episode 2 with Count Dooku and Qui-Gon Jinn.
Okay.
But I have not seen the other ones.
Okay.
So.
But
Cool.
I think that's kind of what Cole touched on too, or everyone's touched on it a little bit. They did all feel a little, they are short, they're not, there's not a lot of room for development or even really nuance. I saw a lot of people, can't talk about that. Sorry. Almost
The
did
only
it.
one that I really felt
I thought
that,
it was fine.
yeah,
The
the only
two
one,
the 2 episodes I've seen I thought were good. I know that one of my friends was complaining about Count Dooku's characterization or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, of course I made him force choke a guy randomly in the last 5 minutes of the episode. They have 10 minutes to do stuff and trying to show that he's going to be evil one day. I don't care.
Anakin Skywalker does that 5 times.
Anakin would have one bad day and he'd be like, I'm going to murder this guy from behind while he's not looking. And everybody would be like, oh, that's just a Jedi for you. Who cares? Come on.
Yeah.
It's anime.
I know.
Whatever.
There's just not a lot of time. So I get that. I do get that.
the only one that I felt really suffered from from the amount of time they had was the last one.
Yeah.
The others,
Which-
I felt like they told a good short little story.
Which is hard too, because it's the last one is the one that suffered, and the last one is the one that already existed in a better form.
Which is why it suffered, I think, is because I'm comparing it to the better story.
to the better one.
The thing about that I think is funny is Dave Filoni being like, these are all just little shorts, little snippets in their lives that I thought of on an airplane. And then it's the last one is a full book that E.K. Johnson already read. I already know the discourse on this one. Dave Filoni's it's just little shorts that I happened to think of on an airplane because I was thinking about the Jedi that I love. And it's surprise, the last one is a full novel, by the way, that came out
What I've read, what I understand about that whole situation is that he had an outline of the events that were gonna take place post Clone Wars season 6, including the Siege of Mandalore arc and what happened with Ahsoka afterwards, broad outline of all of that, and that was given to E.K. Johnson as a framework for the story. That was something that he came up with, gave to her to expand upon, and then now
Which
he's
is
like,
fair, but
he's like,
she
now I
already
get
wrote
to make
the
the
novel.
animation.
That's the thing that I hate.
I don't think
like,
it excuses it, but
No.
I think it makes sense. Like, yeah, this was all my idea originally, and then she wrote it, and so now I get to override it because I can.
I'm kind of
No.
in the middle.
No.
I'm in the middle of both of you in that it's like I completely, as far as I'm concerned, Dave Filoni had the idea. He had the outline. He gave it to E.K. Johnston to write. Lucasfilm, he probably didn't personally. Lucasfilm gave it to her to write. At that point, I think Dave kind of, in a perfect world, gave up the opportunity to tell that story. And it's unfortunate that he thought he wouldn't have an opportunity to do it, and that's why he gave it to publishing. But that is what it is. It's not like Dave Filoni is not going to get to produce more Ahsoka content. If he is missing this one little thing, to me, it's not right for him to just be able to say, no, I want to do it my way. Because, I mean, to me, this is way more egregious than Bad Batch. This is the worst thing. I say worst as though it's all fiction, right? He's like not a bad guy because he did this, but like this is the most egregious thing he's done by far.
I forgive it a lot less than the Siege of Mandalore, and it's making me, I think, less forgiving of the Siege of Mandalore. But I do
because
still
it's a pattern, right? It's a pattern.
I do still
The big
love
one with this,
that
at least from the
bit
discourse
of Clone
that I've
Wars,
seen,
though.
was. Yeah, I mean, the big thing with this, from the discourse that I see, was like completely whitewashing a person of color, queer character, and that, like, not only did Dave Filoni like redo something that he already gave somebody else the opportunity to do in a full form novel, he was like, I have 10 minutes of animation. Let's just do this again. But then he also like retconned or messed up, or depending on how you want to interpret it, like
You know how we want to interpret it.
Good. It just doesn't look good, dude.
It doesn't.
Like, you could, like, sure, if you want to do it your own way with the animation, that's fine. But to take, you could have just made them the same character, brother. Like, you could have, and then I don't know.
But see, okay, this is something that I'm gonna posit just to. I don't like to play devil's advocate generally because I think the people are doing that are coming from a place of
Bad faith.
Bad faith. This is not what. That's
But
not what
you
I'm
are
trying to do.
in good faith.
That's not what I'm trying to do. As someone who grew up loving Star Wars and not fully understanding how mad people probably were when the prequels came out because of all the stuff from Legends that had been overwritten by those movies. How different do you all think this is from George? Well, I guess the difference now is that we were told at one point, and I went back and I read the quote from the press release. The press release, when they announced everything, said that everything was gonna be coherent and consistent.
I think
that is the difference. Never
simple
mind. Answer my own
is-
question.
I think the simple answer is that they changed their mind in the 10 years. Happy 10, 11? Happy 11 years.
10 years.
10 years. Happy 10 years of the Lucasfilm acquisition.
It's Cole's birthday. It's your
Happy
birthday,
birthday, Cole!
Happy birthday.
Yeah,
to
happy
me.
birthday. Oh my god, I forgot. That's embarrassing. Oh no,
Yeah.
I told myself I wasn't going to forget all week and then I did. Happy birthday, Cole. Thank you for spending the first part of it with us.
You're welcome. No, I spent the first part of it at midnight with some friends.
Okay,
Oh,
so,
good,
okay.
yeah.
I feel a little better about kind of spacing
I got
out.
staying to like 12:30 last night.
Yeah.
Oh, cute.
That's nice. But anyway, everyone wish Cole a happy birthday. There's some stuff happening in our chat right now on the stream chat, and I do want to say this is a Mace Windu positive podcast. Just keep
Yes.
that in mind.
It is,
Eva might
but
not
also
like
he's
Mace.
a bootlicker.
He's not given
Hey,
a very
okay.
favorable presentation in these episodes. But,
He's
you know,
he's not, and it is funny too because Dooku, yeah, like you said, Cole. Like I don't think this is too much of a spoiler because Eva's clearly seen some bits of it where it's like Dooku is given some sort of depth and nuance, but then also like, oh, he's terrible throughout the Clone Wars, but now it's like, oh, he's kind of got a point. You know, it's like, well, what? And I also
he really does, though.
he does, and I just
But he's
it's
wrong. I mean, he's wrong, obviously, but
he goes. Yeah, Eva, you'll have to watch him.
Yeah.
And thankfully it's a really short thing. It's
we'll stop.
much less of a monumental task than catching up on Andor will be for you. I
Yeah.
think.
Have
you watched any of Andor?
7
Letting it
hours
get
worth
worse.
now.
Circling back.
I watched my one episode of Tales of the Jedi this morning, and I was like, I wonder how behind I am on Andor, and I looked and I was like, 8 hours?
You know what, though? It's one of those things that it's like, you shouldn't ever make yourself watch it. You know what I mean? If you're not feeling
for fun.
it's for fun. You should never make yourself watch it. So I definitely think that what's going to happen is there will be plenty of time between seasons 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. We will kind of tiptoe around Andor talk when you're on the podcast, whenever, but then we'll do like whenever you're ready.
It was such the unfortunate timing of it coming out right when I moved that I was like, because it's like, okay, if it hadn't been when I moved, I might have been like a week behind, but I would have watched it, like I watched stuff. Mm-hmm. But it was right when I moved, and then here we are 8 weeks later. Or whatever.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. But we'll definitely do a season 1 kind of retrospective, because there is, I don't know if you've heard, Eva, there's a lot to unpack in this episode. There was actually, there's one reveal from this episode we didn't even talk about. I don't think we ran into somebody that we haven't seen yet. We did not even mention that.
We didn't even mention it.
Yeah, but that's fine. Everyone listening knows who we're talking about. It's okay. Thanks for spoiling it, Cole. It's not shocking though.
It's in the trailer. It is. It's in the poster.
It is in the trailer and the poster.
Is it Ahsoka Tano?
No, it's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, it's a Dave Filoni directed episode, and both of them show up. They walk out of the world between worlds.
Ahsoka's watching.
They're like, just in case you're wondering what we were up to.
They have Baby Yoda with them too.
Just a quick recap.
Somewhere else.
I cannot be party to this anymore. This is getting too real. And it sucks. I don't want to be mean to him. I don't. Because he's such a likable...
he deserves this.
Sometimes he does. It's like he's such a likable guy. And
as
he does...
the Dave Filoni apologist, I say right now he deserves it.
Sometimes he deserves to be bullied.
I'll give him credit where credit is deserved.
Yeah.
And I'll give him crap where it's deserved too.
I don't know. I definitely don't want to linger on that for too long.
Yeah.
He's just he's a dude. And I think that as we go forward, anytime he's a
cowboy,
anytime he's in charge of anything, we're just going to have to know. I've learned my lesson. That's just like, no, this is going to steamroll something. And that's just going to have to be how it is, even though that you've got stuff like Book of Boba Fett that he's heavily involved in, like not really, I mean, taking some weird diversions, but not hurting anything, and pulling in Black Chrysanthemum, like that's a show I still want more of. It's been close to a year, and I'm still like clamoring for more. But I'm starting to think that it's not coming.
He'll be there.
Yeah, I think the story will continue in that Boba Fett will continue to show up in the Mandoverse stuff, even if we never get another season of the show itself.
Yeah, and that's I've definitely I've been pretty vocal about like my kind of distaste for, I'm gonna say it for lack of a better term, the Marvelization of Star Wars. Like, I know that's not a good term. There are so many, like, everything's doing that now. It's not just Marvel, and I don't mean to throw shade at Marvel, because Marvel does it well, obviously. Like, pretty much everything that comes out, I feel like, is well received. But like I've made my peace with that, with like the TV shows kind of being like that, especially since we're seeing things like Andor that are completely removed. It's not all Mandoverse stuff. Mm-hmm. But it still makes it a little hard to swallow, because it's like, well, I liked Book of Boba Fett, and that story will continue, but then that means that kind of, since they're on diverging paths, or not necessarily converging paths, we'll say, Mando and Boba Fett, like, I feel like it might do a disservice to both of their stories if that show is, and the show is about the Mandalorian, especially now that Grogu is back. So it's like Boba Fett's going to take a back seat if he is a significant player at all.
Yeah.
And it's that, to me, that does a disservice to that story that they set up in that season of TV, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't love that, just for Boba Fett, who I love, but it's not, I guess it's not objectively inherently a bad thing. It's just, it also, I mean, the possibility is open. I know that Tamara Morrison and Ming-Na Wen would both come back and do it in a heartbeat, since they're still going to be involved going forward in the TV. So maybe one day, Maybe one
Hopefully
day.
there's a time for it, and they'll make it happen.
Yeah, because I just am. I don't know. I think
There's just so much being made right now.
Well, we talked last week. Well, we didn't. Cole and I on our Secret Skyhoppers episode that I that I ripped out of Abroa Skywalkers. Talked about the rumored new movie that's coming out. I've seen some further rumors on that is the movie in the 2025 time slot, which my God is still almost 3 years away.
Still almost 3 years away.
Assuming it comes out, at the end of the year.
Over 3 years away.
Thanks, Cole.
Yeah,
We needed that.
3 years from December.
But who is it that's attached to that again? Just for people that might not have listened to that last episode and
It's
are not
the writer's Damon Lindelof from like Lost and for the other like most prominent thing, the HBO Watchmen series, probably the most prominent things he's been on. And then the director was Charmine something. Let me see if I can find it real quick. She did a couple of episodes of the Miss Marvel TV show recently. Charmine Obaid-Chinoy.
And that sounds cool, but it's also one of those things that's like I actually saw a headline, or I looked at the article actually on Star Wars Newsnet. I don't remember where it was sourced from, but Star Wars Newsnet I feel like is generally not super sensationalist with their headlines, with their reporting. So it's like, take it with a grain of salt, but I did see an article that mentioned that some reports have come out that Disney had told Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm to stop announcing projects when they were not ready. Let me see if I can find the link.
I mean, I hope that's true.
So.
That's true. My gosh.
Let me see if I can find the link, and I'll see if I can back this up a little bit.
They're obviously not listening to us when we tell them to do that.
You are a very small voice, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Still a small voice for all the Christians out there.
Oh my God, it's all just
It was like a single small voice cried out in terror. It was basically silent.
Yeah, it was basically silent. But no, and I think that's okay. Yeah, the headline is Disney advised Kathleen Kennedy to stop announcing Star Wars projects or Lucasfilm, but then of course there was weird stuff. A news story detailed on Puck News. Okay, by former Hollywood Reporter editor Matt Maloney. Just because he used to be at the Hollywood. I did not even. Is this real? I've never heard of Puck News, so I don't know how.
No. Never heard of that either.
Sounds fake.
Okay, so maybe this is.
But I mean, there is a chance that if he was a Hollywood Reporter guy, he might still have connections. But
sure.
You never know. You never know about that kind of stuff. If it's the actual paper, or if it's the individual.
Yeah, here, let me go drop this in our stream chat, and I'll drop.
Eva might have more information on that just because they're a reporter. But
yeah, do you know? You are our journalism contact on the podcast.
Yeah, I will.
Tell us about Puck News.
I'll read through all the articles and give you a full report back on my opinions of the validity of these news stories.
Also watch between this week and next. Do that, and also watch all of Andor. Yeah. And then work your full-time job.
Yes, sir.
No, and Galen is saying what we think we have all said, which is just stop announcing things until there's a trailer, until some shooting has been done. But I think again, this is I don't know. We've talked about this before and just gotten really deep into the filmmaking, the business side of it, where it's okay, Marvel announces their stuff 8 years in advance,
but then they do it.
Then they do it, right?
Yeah,
by and large.
Things still do change sometimes. But yeah.
I wouldn't mind if Star Wars announced stuff super in advance if I felt like I could trust them that it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
When Marvel shows up at D23 or whatever the expo is called and it's guess what movie we're releasing in 2030? I'm this personally isn't relevant to me because I'm not a big Marvel guy, but I'm happy for all the Marvel fans because I trust that it will come out in 2030 and or somewhere around that time frame if there's a delay or they push it forward. Star Wars, however, if Kathleen Kennedy told me that they were releasing a Star Wars movie in 2030 today, I'd be
called you
not
up on the phone.
Until you personally.
if Kathleen Kennedy called my personal cell phone number and said, guess what? I've got a secret scoop for the Skyhoppers podcast. We're releasing a movie in 2030. I'd be like,
we wouldn't even tell you.
I'm blocking your number. You're lying to me.
We wouldn't tell any of you if that happened.
And the thing is, I don't believe that she'd be like deliberately misleading you, but
no,
track
I'm
record
sure
just
that you
isn't
would believe
there.
it. Like, every time that they announce these projects, I'm sure that they believe it. However, something happens, and I don't know what it is, but something happens, and it's not true.
Yeah, and I think, like, Fatmatic just said, they do change things sometimes over at Marvel, but, like, their changes are something like, this director had to leave because we told them what to do too many times. Or, like, this TV show is actually going to be a movie now. Stuff like that.
And I
There's
feel
also
like
a pretty good level of transparency about
Yeah,
all of it.
yeah.
Like, hey, this
Yeah,
director
that's
left
what I
for
was
creative
gonna say,
differences,
is that
and this is who
Again,
we're replacing them
Marvel's
with.
transparent.
Yeah.
Marvel's transparent, and when they have a change, they tell you the outline of why, and then if they need to reassess the timeline, they'll tell you why and what they're doing. And I just like.
Yeah, I mean,
Star Wars
even just
was
recently.
like, you're on your own, kid. We announced these projects 5 years ago. Good luck. And you're like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, even recently, as far as the Marvel thing goes, they had D23, and then, like, I think less than a month later, they're like, yeah, like, 5 of these projects are getting bumped a little bit timeline-wise, even though we literally just announced the dates for them. It's like, oh, yeah. But it's like, yeah, as soon as y'all knew that was going to happen, you told us. It is weird that it happened so quickly, but, you know, there's a level of transparency there that's, like, respectable.
Well, and well, see, I also... Here I come being devil's advocate again and being not only devil's advocate, but inconsistent with everything that I've said to this point.
Is this time, are you
Yeah,
doing
you
this in
started
bad
this
faith this
conversation.
time?
I don't necessarily... Okay, this is kind of a double-edged sword. I don't necessarily think that we are entitled to know everything that's going on. I think it's nice that Marvel does it. I don't think we're entitled to know everything that's going on. However, every time this happens, I think we become a little bit more entitled as Star Wars fans to actually get, like, tell us what the hell is going on back there. Like, why does this keep happening? You keep getting us excited for movies. I was seeing some...
Yeah, I mean, if they were sticking to their schedules, was a one-off thing that happened not often, I'd be like, yeah,
whatever.
Like, especially as somebody who's into video games, I'm like, you do your thing, and I'm hoping there are no labor violations happening, and you can be on your own, and you'll announce a game, and it'll come out in 5 years, even though you said it would be 2 years from now. Like, I'm so used to that.
Sure.
It's just that Star Wars consistently is like, here's 20 different announcements, and then it's been radio silent on all 20 of them, except for like the one that's been canceled and the one they've said is like maybe not happening, except they haven't confirmed it's not happening. They've just said like maybe it's not happening. Like it's that level of like, we're gonna announce all this stuff and then just never mention it again. And it's like, okay, either don't announce it or tell us what's going on, because it's been way too long at this point for us to still not know what's happening with the movies that you announced like right after Rise of Skywalker came out, like
It's similar to the Dave Filoni thing. It's like any individual one of these events wouldn't be that big a deal. The fact that there's this pattern, this consistent thing happening makes it more worrisome, and it makes each one feel worse. It's like, oh, this again. And we roll our eyes and sigh. And
and that's the thing. Like
hope against hope.
It's not the attitude I want to have, because I mean, I'll speak for myself, but hopefully I'm speaking for all of you. It's like that comes from a place of love and wanting to see more, but like also like not truly being entitled to any more. Like I just don't want to. I'm not like, I don't sit and watch the news for a movie to get canceled or for some delay to happen and be like, oh good, I can complain about this now. Like that's ideally that's not what's happening. Like ideally we never have this conversation again after today. Like probably won't happen.
That'd make me so happy.
Right. If stuff just starts moving. And I'm hoping now, like Cole, I mentioned this when we talked about it. I'm hoping now that like Disney Plus has found its footing. And I think hopefully Star Wars has a path forward now and is like, okay, we've got our TV shows, we've got our movies, we've found people that are going to like we found people that are going to work with us. Like Dakota, I think it was you who said like sometimes people leave because they're being told what to do too much. But I think that I'm hoping they're just finding people who are willing to work within those constraints. And really, if Star Wars, with the case of like Solo, we know that's why that Lord Miller were fired, was because of creative differences. I like that, even though that created troubles and it created a movie that a lot of people aren't happy with. I think that maybe watch it again, maybe, but like it created.
It's great. Just do it.
Yeah, it created a movie that was divisive. But I do think that it's like I want these filmmakers to have their own mark and to be like, oh yeah, that was a Rian Johnson Star Wars movie. I want that to be clear, but at the same time, I want them to play ball. You know what I mean? And it's just like I'm hoping they're finding people who are understanding that. And if this, forgive me, what was her name? I lost it.
Charmin.
Yep, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy. If she is done Miss Marvel, she has some idea of how these kind of big franchise things go. So if she's attached to this...
They've been in with the Marvel, the Disney machine a little bit at least.
Yeah.
So hopefully they have some understanding of how it works. Right. And how it's just like, yeah, these big franchise things, it's like, even if we're only staying consistent on the screen, there is some level of consistency we have to maintain. And like, there are things we're going to tell you how to do certain things. And like, that's just the way it is. It is what it is. But I don't know. I for some reason I have a good feeling about this one. To go back to Solo, I have a good feeling about this. I think this one.
Me too.
I think this one is going to happen. I don't think they would have. Well, I guess it hasn't been announced at all, has it? This is all.
No, it hasn't been announced. It's like I said, it's Hollywood Reporter and Deadline reporting all this, which they're good sources as far as like I trust all the information as it's being presented. Does that mean it's definitely going to happen? No, because we've been down this road before. But you know.
But hey, usually we've been down this road before. But usually it's Deadline and Hollywood Reporter telling us that things are breaking a different way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like, you know,
That's true.
It is what it is. But yeah, hopefully again we can just stop having this conversation. The Dave Filoni thing's going to keep coming up because he's going to keep doing it. But kind of like
I want to point out, so in our chat, Mogo said something that I think sums up the podcast, which is, I don't hate Filoni, I just think he needs to be properly humbled. And if I had to wrap up my feelings on Dave Filoni in one sentence, it would be that.
I think that's it. But
yeah.
And see, that's something is interesting to me. And there was obviously a lot of kind of I don't like to use the word discourse anymore, but it's like there's a lot of discussion about that, where it's like, what is the story group doing? Like, what purpose do they serve? Cole, I think, has summed it up most effectively in that it's there as a resource, and most people want to work with them and understand what's going on. Dave Filoni doesn't care and does his own thing, and they will step in if he's doing something egregiously wrong. But it's like, if you squint and you get the same story, I don't think they're going to say anything, which unfortunately is the Ahsoka, like this last Ahsoka episode of Tales of the Jedi, right? If you squint, it's the same story. But it feels wrong for me to wish him to be humbled. Like, I don't wish ill on the guy. You know, I don't.
Mean.
It is. But obviously, I'm not saying Mogo's being mean. I need Mogo's.
I want him to be humbled, but I don't know how you humble somebody without like violently embarrassing them in front of the entire.
Not what I want at all. It doesn't deserve that.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that sounds kind of great. But...
Oh my god, Cole.
Like, I don't want him to go through like a life-altering event where like all of a sudden he's a different man.
No.
Like, him a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and see, but that's what I was getting at was like, I just think that they have all these people that are willing to play ball, and they've had people that have left, creators that have left because they don't like being told what to do. They want to have their creative freedom, and it's just like, are they afraid that Dave is going to stop doing Star Wars if they try to rein him in? Do they not care on a brand level? They're like, we don't care. I just don't know. It
might just be like, hey, this was George's guy. We can't. We feel like we can't.
Right.
Yeah.
We can't touch him. We can't
like,
touch him.
If I had to, like, pick anything, I would assume that it's probably just like, they're like, oh, this was George Lucas's like number 2, so since we don't have Lucas, we got Dave, so if he says it goes, which I don't think is like the smartest decision, but I like I understand both sides of that specific argument.
And I also understand it from their side, and like generally, like on a broad sense, everyone really likes all the stuff he's made.
Yeah. Yep. Clone
So
Wars
it's like
and
it's kind of hard to argue with it as far as that's concerned. And I think that's the thing with like the humbling, if whatever you want to call it. It's like that would need what form that would take. I feel like is like one of his projects come out and nobody likes it.
And that's just, I just don't think I don't think it's going to happen. Because Star Wars being such a large fan base, like obviously we are, I don't want to say divided on Ahsoka as a character, because I think as a character, she's a good character. We've just seen a lot of her. But you have people.
Ahsoka as a character, I think it's the way that Dave Filoni decides to tell Ahsoka stories.
Exactly. It's not Ahsoka.
But not even that he's telling Ahsoka stories, it's like the way he goes about it. I don't know, it's hard because it's like, it's not that I don't want to ever again. I think it's not the approach he's taken.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like, Clone Wars Season 7, I don't know if I have a single complaint. Like, I know that there's Siege of Mandalore stuff, but I don't know if I have a single complaint about Ahsoka in Season 7.
No.
But, like, you know, but then, so it's like, that was great. I love that. I love what Dave Filoni did in that. But then he does this thing with the last episode of Tales of the Jedi, and it's like, brother, come on, you know? Like,
well,
you had me.
And so but the point I was getting at is just like, you have such a large group of people that are, I'll just say critical of other aspects of Star Wars than we are. I say we as a podcast, but of course there are different things that we individually are critical of and some things that we are more willing to let slide. And I think generally speaking, you won't get a consensus of people saying that Dave Filoni did something that was not good. I think, Cole, I think you're right. I think that's what would have to happen. But even then, I think Lucasfilm is like forgiving, especially of the number 2 George Lucas. You know what I mean? If something didn't quite land, I think they'd be like, yeah, you know, that one didn't land as well. That's okay. We've got 15 other TV shows lined up that are gonna, you know, and it's like, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't want anyone to be working with Lucasfilm and be like, oh, you did one bad thing, gone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that. I don't want that kind of culture for anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you do either.
I don't even think that happening would change how they feel about Dave Filoni, but maybe it would just impact his view of stuff a little bit.
It would shake him a little bit.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe I need to be a little bit more considerate about this or something. I don't know.
Because that's what's hard. It's like you do see like his like public persona, and he's a very funny, kind of charming guy. But I don't know. Sorry, I just read Mogo comparing Ahsoka to Clara from Doctor Who, and he says, interesting at first, pretty cool, kind of annoying, digging the story, good conclusion. Wait, it's not over? She's still here? But why? And it's like, that's not how I feel about Ahsoka, but it is, the similarities are there. I don't know. I think Ahsoka has a place. I think the Tales of the Jedi was good with her. I just wish that, you know, my issue, I'm starting to think more and more, my issue is not her. My issue is Dave Filoni. You know what I mean? The issue is...
Her issue's not with the puppet, it's with the puppeteer.
Right. So, I don't know. It's really not that big a deal at the end of the day. I'm kind of over the Tales of the Jedi stuff. Anyway, it's like, the show was good overall, and I think that's not that you can't be upset. I think especially there are aspects of that novel that were erased that it's right to be upset about. So I'm not trying to belittle any of that, but I think that I'm just kind of like, you know what? The show itself was good, and that's where I'm gonna stand on it. The show was good. Didn't like something that happened. It's okay. We'll live.
I think that we should circle back and have a more positive discussion about it now. And I want to hear everyone, if you got to pick the 2 Jedi that had 3 episodes each, which 2 Jedi are you picking for the
Mogo
next
is saying,
season?
I'm going to answer for Mogo. He says Rael Averross.
Yes, there. And I think that's a great choice.
I do think it's a good choice. I don't know. Yeah, we can't avoid this question any longer. We have to answer it now, I guess.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Give me a sec.
I am too.
I can go. One of mine is going to be Quinlan Voss.
Cool. Absolutely. We literally have one episode of content with him currently,
and it's not great.
And it's like it's fine.
Yeah, like he could be he could do with some actual characterization beyond like, dude, you know, like he could do with some characterization beyond that, I think. But hey, Monkey Paw, Dark Disciple. If you get Quinlan Voss, you are effectively writing Dark Disciple out of existence. Keep that in mind.
No, I mean,
you can tell some stories during
Dark Disciple.
Yeah, either during Clone Wars or even before.
You could, but would
That's what I meant.
But would you?
Yes.
No,
That's what I meant.
I'm being purposely
That's my
obtuse.
choice.
I'm being purposely obtuse. Yeah. So
I don't know.
Okay, and then actually my second one, I did just think of my second one, Avar Chris.
You stole mine.
Good
You
choice,
stole
good
mine.
choice.
You stole mine. Okay. Yeah, I want to pick a. Eva, did you have one? Were you talking?
Don't know because, like, well, I haven't seen all of Tales of the Jedi yet, but like, obviously, somebody's like, pick a Jedi to tell a story about, and it's like, I love Count Dooku, so I guess I got that. Big fan of Ayla Secura, maybe her. Maybe like young Yoda. Like
Sexy Yoda?
Maybe like Yoda before the prequel trilogy, just to see what that little guy's up to. Padawan Yoda. Yoda.
I'm done reading the chat because Mogo is saying Jorah Sabaoth, and I'm not.
Yep.
Not interested.
I was just laughing about that.
I kept looking over them like I'm not interested in that. Galen though says Qui-Gon, and that is my prequel era choice, 100%.
Yeah, Qui-Gon be great.
Yeah,
because Qui-Gon, you can backdoor Obi-Wan in there too. You can get both. You can get both of them. That's a 2-for-1.
Yeah, and speaking of backdooring one, Jaro Tapal with his apprentice.
Oh yeah,
that'd be great.
That'd
Get
be
some
cool.
Young Cal Kestis content.
If we're going strictly on canonical characters, I will not.
I'm trying to restrict myself to that.
I was just say I won't say Nomi Sunrider and Ula Kildroma.
We could use Tales of the Jedi to canonize her.
Sure, like I would love it. I'm not gonna say no.
That's ideal scenario.
And see, that's one of those things that like, because they are Legends characters, I would definitely feel much differently about them telling different stories that maybe didn't quite line up with Legends. Like it's so weird because of how contextual and situational my feelings on that are. Where it's like I have a good separation between like this is Legends, they're changing this, but whatever, it's fine. But
that Maddox is Barriss. That'd be great.
Barriss would
Barriss. Luminar and Barriss story would be awesome.
I wouldn't be shocked if this continues. I wouldn't be shocked if we ended up seeing Barriss.
Yeah,
just because she, I think, she's kind of a maligned character in that seemingly out of nowhere she decides to commit a terrorist attack. Yeah, like it's pretty rough.
I just read MedStar and then like it makes a little bit more sense.
That's funny that you now are like.
I'm now recommending MedStar. Yes, I really liked the second one.
MedStar. That's why I hate
the tables have.
That's why I hate the arc in Clone Wars.
I think it lines up, Cole. I think it does. I think it lines right up. Sure, that's fair.
Completely. I think there is some connective tissue between the two, but that's all I'm going to say.
I think you could write the stories that make that work. Absolutely, the stories aren't there, and so the payoff is not earned. That's why I have a problem with it. It's like it's the Barriss we're presented with in Clone Wars. The few times we see her, which is not very many, and then suddenly she's just a villain. Is like, what? I really feel like there was at least one arc that we missed out on that filled in the gaps there.
I just think she does a lot of shady things in MedStar that
that's
lead
fair.
into
that's
it.
Fair. But I think there's a lot of depth and complexity to her in MedStar, and there's none of that in Clone Wars.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. And that's where Tales could come in and help out a little bit.
Yes.
To be fair, I feel like the only character in Clone Wars who has depth and complexity is maybe Ahsoka.
That's
Rex, some of the clones.
yeah,
Okay, well,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah.
Maul.
I did.
Man, I'd love some Mace
I
stories.
stand corrected, fellas.
Yes. I knew that would be your choice, Cole.
Hondo's got depth.
Does he have complexity?
Hondo contains multitudes.
He has the complexity of profit.
Profit. Okay, I'm trying to think because Dakota, my choice, my second non-prequel era choice is Avar Chris.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pick something different for the sake Orla Jareni. That is my choice.
Yeah.
That is my choice for non-prequel era Jedi. And especially that to me seems like a great way to get to introduce those characters to the screen, especially if we're going to see something a little closer to that era in the Acolyte. If they were going to do more of this, I think High Republic Jedi is kind of a no-brainer. Especially since they've established it with characters that we already know. I think they have a little more freedom to do stuff that's the characters that we don't know. But yeah, Skier.
Oh,
Kip
I know somebody
Duran.
had one. Oh man, the name is escaping me now. Give me just a second. Eno Cordova.
Eno Cordova. You're
Yeah.
on a Fallen
Master
Order.
Greytack.
Yeah, you're on a Fallen Order kick right now, aren't you?
I was also thinking Cal Kestis, to be fair. Or, what's her name?
The master.
Cordova's
Cordova's apprentice.
his friend on the ship that used to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
Seer, right?
Seer.
Yeah.
Sure. That was Cordova's apprentice, right?
Yeah, we got there, Galen. Thank you.
Yeah.
We got there.
I think seeing Seer would be cool because I feel like we don't have a ton of her backstory.
Yeah, totally.
I just think that
We have like some broad strokes.
That's the problem,
Yeah.
right? I'm afraid that if this continues, I'm afraid they're going to just expand more on, like, oh my god, we get Plo Koon, 3 episodes of Plo Koon, and the first one is him finding Ahsoka.
I would have much preferred that to have been the baby Ahsoka one.
I agree. I agree.
Make it a Plo Koon story, and it's like, oh, and we find Ahsoka. That's a good connective tissue, and that's a cool story.
I think it'd be.
I think the baby Ahsoka story we get in Tales of the Jedi is really cool. Not necessarily because it's Ahsoka, but like the Togruta culture, I think is cool.
I like that little
that
village.
is definitely cool.
I like the little
Yeah.
village.
Like, I don't know if I think it being Ahsoka is like as trying to be like, hey, this character is so emotionally connected to her, but in reality, like, baby Ahsoka, very cute, but like doesn't like it's not
the same.
like
it's
she's
not
a
the same.
baby,
Yeah.
like she's just a baby. But I think
Mhm.
seeing the like culture of some of the creatures in Star Wars, that was very cool.
Also,
So I'm so happy we got that episode.
Ahsoka's mom has a really long rifle.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
You love that rifle.
I love a long
Yeah.
rifle.
On brand right there.
No, I thought that first episode really kind of shocked me at how I just thought it was. We keep going back to it, right? I was really shocked at how nice I thought it was, and how there was a certain like I felt the emotional impact of it. Maybe I'm just easily manipulated. I don't know, but I thought that episode was good. Padawan Anakin, Mogul, what are you talking about? We have like an entire.
I mean,
like,
no, absolutely. To be fair, we have nearly nothing of Anakin
You're right.
between episode 1 and 2.
You're right. We have what between.
That's a gap we've had for a long time.
I was gonna say
We have Rogue Planet and
Rogue Planet and
5
Brotherhood.
miniseries.
Road Planet 5 mini issue miniseries and Brotherhood. Those are the three things
Jedi
we have
Quest.
across Jedi Quest. Okay.
Well, Brotherhood's not when he's a Padawan.
No, I guess not.
Brotherhood's right after he graduates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
It starts
There is
the first
very,
few
very
pages.
limited
He's a
content.
Padawan, I guess.
That's
Padawan
true.
Anakin
We don't need
is in
Padawan
Brotherhood.
Anakin because we got those 10 pages at the beginning of Brotherhood.
I really am kind of shocked that they haven't put more into that. Haven't just like mined that as a well of information and storytelling, because it seems kind of a no-brainer, right?
I feel like they're afraid. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to show Obi-Wan messing up that violently because Obi-Wan rocks.
Well, also too, dare I say, Obi-Wan, he did the best he could. He did the best he could. And you read the more that we're reading about Obi-Wan is just like he's always just doing the best he can. Is this is a very dog-heavy episode of Skyhoppers.
What?
I love that Dakota looked up and started shaking his head at the dog. Like, no. Yeah. Anyway, that was this one's getting a little long, isn't it? But whatever. I'm glad we're all here and having a good time. It's been too long since we've all been here. Any final thoughts before we wrap this one up? For the
I was gonna say maybe is like a because this is the 10th anniversary of the acquisition. What are some of our like favorite stories to come out of canon?
Okay, that's
since the
a
acquisition.
Mine, Dooku Jedi Lost.
Yeah,
I love
actually,
them.
a lot of it is oddly enough, a lot of it's prequel stuff for me, which is not not my favorite era, but Master and Apprentice is one of them. Jedi Lost is really good. I'm not going to cheat and say the entire High Republic, but even though that is up there, because I'm reading, I talked about it a little bit on Abro Skywalkers this week, I think. Alphabet Squadron's another great one.
Yeah,
I talked about
Squadron might be my pick.
Path of Deceit. I started off a little slow for me, and I'm just like, Kevmo Zink, can I get behind a character with that name? Turns out I can. And that book is actually, like, there is some stuff that I'm just like, I cannot believe there's a sheriff named Jinx Pickwick. That is miserable. I think this book has some of the worst Star Wars character names I have ever come across. That said, authors, if you are listening, the book itself is very good. We differ on why we would choose names, but I think the book is really good. It doesn't have the kind of grand world building that I felt that Light of the Jedi had. But I am fully invested in the characters. I feel like Marta Rowe is going to hurt my feelings at some point, and I don't like that. But yeah, there's a... Sorry, I'm going to try to clean up this audio as best I can, but the dogs are going to dog. So that's where I'm at. Sorry, I talked a lot about the High Republic, but not going to say the High Republic, but that's one of them for sure.
Yeah, I think mine is probably... obviously Jedi Lost. The Kylo Ren comics, I really liked those. What else? What else has happened? The Kenobi TV show.
It's a big question. It's been, 8 years of content, right?
Yeah. And it's like, I'm trying to, season 7 of the Clone Wars. Beautiful.
Jedi Fallen Order. I'm gonna, go back to that because I think it's fantastic. Honestly,
yeah, it's really good.
Visions is one of my favorite things.
I didn't even say Dr. Aphra. Oh my God, kill me!
Yeah.
So for some reason, when someone says canon, I think books. I don't know why. The TV shows, for some reason, all fit in line with everything that's come before, which isn't true. But yeah, so that's why I forgot Aphra. Obviously, I love Aphra to death and would never dream of truly forgetting her.
The Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy, for me, is definitely up there.
See, you all keep saying stuff, and I'm like, yes, that one too.
Yeah.
And it's just because, the truth is, like, publishing has been, like, killing it nonstop since the acquisition.
Lost Stars is definitely a highlight.
Yep.
Yeah, Lost
Stars. Very early highlight. It gave us Claudia Gray.
Yep. So, there was...
the, what's it called? The High Republic audio drama. Tempest Runner. Yeah, Tempest Runner. Thought that rocked.
I just realized I can at least mute Dakota on the stream, which is cool. So I'll have to clean up the audio, but I can mute him on the stream. But no, all the audio dramas.
Dakota's dogs are having a little bit of a moment.
Yeah. All of the audio dramas, though. There is just... Dakota, this was a very loaded question. I feel like this is
I know.
This is a whole
it gives us
other...
a good just mountain of positivity to end on.
It does. This is a whole other episode worth of...
Rebels was great.
Rebels is good? Oh, God. And I'm glad that you said that, because that gives us some Dave Filoni positivity to leave on.
Yeah,
is that,
absolutely.
Yes, he and that's, I think, what makes it hurt the most is, like, we've seen the highs, Dave. We know what you're capable of, and yet you continue to just twist the knife a little further. And The Last Jedi, I guess the Last Jedi is post-acquisition. It's not necessarily just... I don't know. Again,
It still fits. It still fits.
It does.
And we mentioned Solo earlier, and we all love Solo here.
Interesting. Fetmatic popped in with Lords of the Sith, which is a book that I enjoyed and have read once and listened to once. And I think it's good, but I guess if you're really into Vader and Palpatine, then that is a can't miss for you, because I think it's really good for those two. It just doesn't have a lot like it doesn't have like galaxy spanning consequences really, but if you are into Vader and Palpatine and haven't read it, it is a can't miss. And then Fetmatic also said Solo, which we are all Rogue One. Yeah. Is Star Wars just good? Like, is it just good? Are they just doing good stuff?
There's a lot of good.
I'm not trying to be super controversial on this Star Wars podcast, but I think maybe Star Wars is pretty good.
Yeah.
It might be pretty good.
Someone the other day told me that, like, I think I was talking about, you know.
It's good.
Right. Talking about Andor with
All
one of
mine
the
are
normies.
over there now.
I was talking
Can't see it anymore.
about Andor with one of the normies. I don't remember who it was. And someone was like, oh, this might be weird to say. The person was like, oh, it might be weird to say, but I think Rogue One's my favorite of the new ones. And I'm like, buddy, that is not weird to say. That
You were
is
like,
like
I hate to be that guy, but that is so normal.
It is. And it's like, I get it. If you're not into it all, it would make sense, you know, that you wouldn't fully, might not think that that's a normal thing to think, but it is. Dakota, I found out that I could at least mute you on the stream.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we only heard about a minute of that. However, I'm going to have to do some work on the back end to make the audio for the podcast.
So sorry.
Sorry. It's okay. It's not a problem.
Is there anything that Dakota want to mention?
Yeah, what are
positively?
I agreed, I think, with everything I heard all of you say.
Excellent.
And with Mogo, who mentioned The Last Jedi, I wasn't even thinking about movies.
I wasn't either. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Canon is like books to me, right? And that's why I didn't mention Afra. Because
Oh wait, I've got
books.
one. What is it? The
Lego Star Wars,
Skywalker Saga.
The Skywalker.
Lego Star Wars: The
Another good one.
Skywalker Saga, which a certain little fella platinumed last week.
You did.
By the way.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Finally, I can play
Very
another
impressive.
video game.
Who was it? Someone said,
Anyway.
I love that your last achievement was driving around, like, the hub area
That
or
was me.
something.
Yeah, my last achievement that I got was writing all the creatures in the galaxy.
Including that tractor?
Yeah.
No,
You know me.
everyone's dropping too many bangers to read in the chat.
Yeah.
Like, there's just
Yeah.
so much good stuff.
Yeah, so much good stuff.
Dakota, do you have any more? We kind of cut you off.
I think everyone said my big one, like Afra, definitely. Season 7 of Clone Wars, definitely. All the Maul stuff. Rebels itself, Last Jedi. So many great books. Yeah.
I think it's important that you know, Dakota, that Cole also said Rebels. So
good.
everyone got some Filoni positivity in there at the end. Because he
Love
is
that.
he's a good
I have my
dude.
reservations even for Rebels, but overall,
Sure.
very
yeah,
positive.
like I think it was Mogo.
Giassi.
High Republic. I'm just telling you, the entirety of the High Republic.
The entirety of the High Republic is a big one.
Now, I do want to think it's funny that Mogo pointed out in or was it when he was streaming or World of Skywalkers? I think it was. Mogo pointed out that, like, so wait, is Cassian Andor literally fighting for his life being an Imperial fugitive while Zeb and Ezra are running around on Lothal stealing fruit? And
Yes.
yeah, but it's all
These are
about
facts.
It's all about perspective and focus, like the things that you were looking at. Yeah. Anyway, good idea, Cole. That was a good question. Difficult, but good. Do you have a? Is anyone have
difficult because
anything
there's
else?
so many good answers.
There are. So I think that's a good way to handle episodes that are a little
Celebrate,
because that's why we're here. We're here because we love it, and we complain because we love it. I think it's important.
we complain because we care.
We care. We do. And Dave, if you ever hear this, I love you. I do. I just wish you would stop.
Sometimes I want
hurting
to
me.
smack you.
I want to
but,
smack you, but you are good at what you do.
Sometimes I want to take a peep at what might be under the cowboy hat.
It's just a head.
Not sure
We've
he's
seen
got a
it.
top of the head there.
He does. It's just a head. I've seen pictures.
I don't
They're
believe you.
photoshopped.
But Mogo, you'll get to the High Republic books one of these days. The good thing about books is they don't go anywhere. So you'll get around. Mogo is on a Star Wars reading
Ahsoka,
journey.
it is going away. Sorry, Disney sending out collectors to take away all your books.
It's finally happening. The Bring Back Legenders.
Man.
It's what they feared the whole time. Bring Back Legends, that movement. They are coming to take your Thrawn trilogy.
They're gonna come with a flamethrower, throw it in your yard, and torch it.
I want to say something because we were talking about all the Ahsoka stuff, right? This is a bit of a bit to end the podcast on. Odie pops into our Discord every once in a while and will say something that's just very poignant, very funny. We were talking about how Thrawn, because there was that meme that was the Grim Reaper going to room with Dave Filoni being the Grim Reaper, like cutting things down, and the Thrawn novel is next on the chopping block, potentially. And Odie just said, "Mitts off Thrawn Derulo." I laughed so hard. That was very funny. Cole's like, it's too real to be funny. But
that's kind of how I feel about it.
I can't acknowledge this.
Mitts off Thrawn Derulo. Christ. Anyway, does anyone have anything else before we want to get out of here on this fine, very rainy in Bloomington, Indiana?
Get out of here and get into after hours.
Right.
Yeah.
After the hours.
That's really messing with me, actually. I forgot. I thought we were done. We're not. Patrons get to hang out for a while longer.
Done with you yet.
Cole, where can people find you on the internet?
I'm at Mando Wraith on all the different social media stuff, and on a Bro Skywalker's Lord Willing tomorrow on Mondays, live streaming, talking about Darth Bane currently.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
Get
your Legends fix.
He's getting a little out of hand. Dakota, what about you?
It's pretty great. I am on Instagram at Deviation of the Endless, and on Twitter for now at Endless Deviation with one S, and that's pretty much it.
Cool. Eva?
I am on Twitter at Eva Herinkova, EvaHerinkova. I also have realized that I never did my 100 words or less for Brotherhood, so perhaps keep an eye on our website, and I will do that at some point soon.
Cool. I gotta get in there and clean it up. I gotta find a better way to automate some stuff that's going on the website, and that's something that hopefully will be forthcoming. This podcast exists on Twitter at SW Skyhoppers. You can email us at skyhopperspodcast@gmail.com. Please CC George Lucas at gmail.com if you decide to reach out via that channel. Patreon.com/skyhopperspodcast. $1 a month. You come hang out on our live streams. Come be here. Interact in the chat. Interact in our Discord whenever the new shows come out. Whenever anything new comes out. I think it's a great place to be. And you get to hang out for after hours, which I think is going to be fun. That's weird that it's happening after hours this time. But yeah, just $1. That's all we ask. Cool. I think that's everything. So if nobody has anything else to add, this is the Skyhoppers podcast signing off.
Somebody get this big walking carpet out of here.